And it was a popular game back in the time.
Oh, okay. We're live now. Yay.
All right,
Yeah, no,
good.
I've never played that. Okay, hey, it's Sue Greenwald here with Awakened Stories, here with David Adair again. Yay! Hey, David, how are you?
I'm fine. How y'all doing?
Yeah, doing really good. So today's the 19th of February already, and we're going to talk about pretty much anything, but so I'm going to try to monitor the questions that we get while we're talking.
Okay,
And uh, we had talked about the other day, we were going to talk about your inventions and things that you had done after the rockets and all of that.
right.
Some of them, weren't allowed out to the public. So, um, whatever you want to talk about, we're going to have questions come in, and I have a few questions here as well. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right. It's on you. So basically you had told us a couple times that you had invented things that were not allowed for public use, public knowledge or whatever.
Right.
So don't say anything you'll get in trouble for, but
Okay.
can you describe some of those inventions
Sure.
and kind of that situation?
Um, let's start off one that you can actually check out yourself.
Okay.
I'm going to sneeze again. I hate that. Okay, here we go. Now I got my brain shook loose. Um, there were, I remember when I left the Navy, they, the admiral called me in and said, it's the first time I've seen an admiral tear up. He said, "We're going to miss you." He said, "You've been so good." He said, "I've got here on my desk, a stack of papers about a foot high." I said, "What are those?" He said, "They're job offers for you."
Whoa.
Whoa, really? Uh, he says, "We've got a pool going on. Which one you going to pick?" So I took a look at them, started flipping through them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, he asked, "Who are you going to work for?" And I said, "All of them. I'm going to open my own company and I'll take them all as clients." And that's exactly what happened. And so I formed a company and all the paperwork and BS that goes with it. And then I did that. Then I started pulling the clients in. And one of the first ones I picked uh, was the aerospace company Douglas. And I was looking at what they wanted to do, and I said, let's see if we can work on this thing and get it going. So what it was, they McDonnell Douglas had a group of medical doctors who knew a lot more than I did about the area. I didn't know anything. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but what they were saying was interesting. They said, "We want you to build an electrophoretic processor." And I said, "Okay, sure, I can do that." I turned around to a friend of mine and asked, "What in God's name is an electrophoretic processor?" Well, I found out what it was after some research, and you can look it up yourself. It's on YouTube, and an electrophoretic processor is a device that looks like it looks like an aquarium, and it's got what's known as opposing fluids in it. So it looks like a '60s lava lamp, stuff floating around. You can fire a billion volts through there, the electro part, and the electrons run in a straight line. And then these hormones and enzymes get the hots for the electrons and chase them like Pac-Man. And some run faster and some are slower. And when that happens, you get a layer effect. And that's how you separate hormones and enzymes here on Earth to manufacture vaccines and serums. I didn't know that. I thought, damn, that's that where it comes from. They said, "We got a problem, which is going to bring you in." I said, "What's that?" Every electrophoretic processor sitting in a laboratory in a hospital setting on Earth. And At the bottom of this thing, it always looks like a 60s lava lamp. We can't get it to separate. Even if we fire a billion volts through there, it won't matter because the gravity convection fields of the earth is pulling down on the liquids and it will not let it separate. I went, oh, I get it. And he said, okay, we thought you would. So what are you going to do about that? And I said, well, I'm going to have an electrophoretic processor built that could plug into the hardware of the mid deck of the space shuttles. So you take it up and be in a weightless environment. And I said, great idea. So I went to McDonnell Douglas plant. There I met with a guy named Charlie Walker. Oh, Charlie, he's a pretty good dude. But Charlie was sitting there and he built the electrophoretic processor and did a great job. And I said, Charlie did such a good job building that processor. I'm going to want you to run it for me. He said, sure. Where do I need to go? About 150 miles from where we're standing. We're straight up.
Oof.
Charlie, you're going to become an astronaut. Well, we had to get Charlie up off the floor, and he's going, are you serious? I said, yeah. So Charlie Walker became the first commercial astronaut in history. Had nothing to do with the military whatsoever, nothing to do with the government. He's a private contractor working for his client, McDonnell Douglas, and he is a commercial astronaut now. And that's where you kept getting this term payload specialist. Whatever in the cargo bay of the space shuttle, that and you got people to support those equipments, that's the name of the flight. So they're called, you have three crew members of a shuttle. You have the pilot, the co-pilot, and the navigator. And those three are permanent, but the other four are cargo bay specialists. So Charlie was a cargo bay specialist, and we seen him up there. And you can see all this on YouTube, what I'm about to tell you, because McDonnell Douglas made a brochure called the electrophoretic processor in 1985. That's the year we sent it up. And you can look at the brochure. The whole entire brochure is online on YouTube. So you can sit there and read up on it. I'm not making this stuff up, y'all. I mean, this McDonnell Douglas is not a chump little company. They're a multi-billion-dollar aerospace corporation. Got a historical record of about 100 years, and they've been around in everything. So this is quite real. So Charlie went up, and we sent him up. I think the first time we sent him up was on Challenger, I believe, before the accident. And they got up in space, and Charlie turns on the electrophoretic processor, and he fires a charge through it, and it cleared out all the way to the bottom of the grid on the first pass, the first try. And I went, really? Worked that good, huh? And he goes, yeah. And then the medical scientist told me, there it is. That's what we're looking for. We told you there was something in there. I said, you got me, buddy. I don't know anything. I'm just built the hardware. So they look at the thing that they cleared out of the goo, and then they isolated it. And what they had was a hormone that was 4 times larger and 700 times purer than anything that ever been made on Earth. They were excited, to say the least. And I asked him, I said, what's such a big deal? Okay, fine. You got a very clear, clean, slightly larger hormone. He said, you don't understand what that means. I said, obviously I don't. What does it mean? Tell me about it. They said, well, this hormone, because of its purity, we can put genetic encoders in it. Okay, what's that mean? It means we have a person that's got a medical condition. They come into the hospital voluntarily, and we give them a shot in the abdomen of this hormone, and it goes right into the pancreas, and like a catalyst, changes everything but itself, It makes the catalyst start functioning and start producing beta cells. And that is more commonly known as the cure for diabetes.
Wow.
I went, are you serious? Yeah, that's what we're looking at. How many processors have you got? Well, built two. You built two cheap for the price of one. We're going to need like 30 or 40 of them. We're going to put them on a rack, and rack's going to be a part of a system set and floating out in space. And that will be the electrophoretic processor group. And then the space shuttles will come by once in a while and pick up the vaccines. Then the vaccines will see a space shuttle is designed to carry, it was designed to carry 67,000 pounds into orbit. That's quite a bit. It also was designed because it had no engines, it was a glider, but it still could come back with up to 37,000 pounds from orbit.
Oh.
So that's products. 37,000 pounds of vaccine, you're going to inoculate the planet. And McDonnell Douglas sitting there, and I'm looking at him and going, how much is this going to be worth to you? He goes, well, we'll put it in a price range where normal insurance will pay for it. Wow, that means everybody can have access. Yeah. Then the doctors looked at him and said, you're old enough for this. Remember when everybody ate sugar cubes in the country and polio became extinct? Yeah, I remember that. I sure do, like yesterday. So you're going to run it like that? Yeah, we're going to make this available to everybody across the planet. The diabetes will become a faint memory, like polio is today.
Right, right.
And I went, holy smokes. He said, does it interest you? Yeah, because I'm a type 2 diabetic. I take 4 shots a day, 4 pills a day. It'd be so nice to stop all that. I remember I just got diabetes a year and a half ago. So I'm really not used to it's just a genetic time bomb waiting to go off, and it went off. And I said, I remember what life was like without all this. And diabetes comes with so many other things: heart attacks, strokes, blindness, weight problem. All that comes from
Right,
from
right.
the diabetes. And they said, yeah, we'll be able to, stamp out a lot of that. And I said, well, let's get started. Let's build that electrophoretic processor rack and get your station going. Well, in comes NASA. And what's the first thing they tell us? Stop. Don't make any more of these processors. As a matter of fact, take the 2 that you got, wrap them up, and put them in a hangar and forget about them. I'm going, what? We're doing what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to industrialize space. No, you are over industrializing space. And this is NASA and I never were the best of friends to begin with, but NASA, never a straight answer.
Exactly.
So I went at him and I said, let me guess. Big Farm is in your pockets or in the pockets of the Senate Subcommittee on Science and Technology. They don't want this to come out. So they grease the palms and you guys do us in and that's it.
Right.
He said, you can't talk like that. I said, yeah, I do. I put air in my stomach, comes through my voice box and comes out of these words. And they got all bent out of shape. Anyway, we buried the 2 machines into a hangar. We have never worked on it since. That was 1985. You could have cured diabetes and been gone with it before I ever contracted it.
I know.
But NASA said no. And
Think
that's our
about all the
buddies at NASA.
suffering and needless deaths that could have been eliminated.
Yeah. You think, oh, he's so full of BS. He's making it up. Well, go look on YouTube, assholes. Look it up. It's laying there. I didn't make the brochure. Look at the logo on the brochure, McDonnell Douglas. So are they a-holes too? So this stuff is real. Y'all just sitting there and don't have a damn clue this is going on. So You know, why am I not more wound up about it? Because I made dozens of things like this in space. I own all the patents.
Hmm.
I patent this process. McDonnell Douglas and I co-own it. So, I may die before I ever see it happening, but my descendants are going to benefit from it. And that's the problem with my technologies. I'm so far ahead of the infrastructure. It's like I built a Lamborghini and it's a really fine looking machine, runs really good. But the year is 1860. We don't have any oil. We have no gasoline. So the best I can do to the Lamborghini is tie a horse to it and make an interesting cart out of it. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what's happening right now with my stuff. When the infrastructure comes up, my descendants will do okay. And that's one. And there are, God, lists longer than your arm.
Yeah.
Um, and you can see that on YouTube. So much for you critics and arguments. That's why I have spout this stuff off, but I never hear criticism because they've ran into the real machines out there. And they go, oh man, he's telling the truth. There's more. There is a lot more.
Yeah.
That's just the opening salvo. Next thing I did, and truthfully, I don't know where I get these ideas from. I think they're from Pitt
Yeah.
because I come up with stuff that's just so radical. People go, how do you even think of this? Well, one of the things I thought of was let's make metal in space. So, more conventionally, back in 1975, Skylab was a big um, space station. And Skylab was not something the size of a broom closet, it was the size of a gymnasium. It was huge. And unfortunately, one of his solar power panels got tore up on launch. And it only had half the power. But even with half the power for the station, in the time that Skylab flew up there, it did 5,000 industrial experiments that told us what we could or couldn't do. And you think that's impressive? Mere Soviets, they did 25,000 experiments. So look at all the stuff we've learned. But anyway, when we have one, we learn our best stuff sometimes by accidents in science. The science won't tell you that because their little egos get stepped on. But sometimes we just go bumbling through and stumbling, and Murphy's laws hit, and we end up finding some fantastic things. Example 75 on Skylab, we had the astronauts melt some metals, and they got the metal melted. And the way they melted it was using the sheer sunlight from the sun outside with an induction furnace. It gets hot enough, it melted metal. So now they dumped this 2,000-degree glowworm out into the cabin, and they're looking at it. They're floating, the glowworm's floating, and all of a sudden they're asking some very interesting questions we hadn't thought of. How do you shape metal in a weightless environment? There's nothing to pour it into. You can't eject it. The ejections won't even work. And plus, the metal will burn anything up. So, how do we handle this? Suddenly, we were faced with something we've termed containerless processing. And they looked at me and said, figure it out, David. I said, God, I don't know how to figure this out. I just melted the metal up there, just see what happens. Didn't know all this was going to turn out. Well, the astronauts was a little bit upset. They said, man, Frank, I know you're floating over there, but don't let that glowworm get in your pants. You're not going to like that. So I told them, sit down, stay calm, don't move around much, causing air currents to push the metal around, and let us work on it. Well, one of the astronauts grabbed a cassette tape to listen to some music. I think he was looking for something like Montravani or Lawrence Welk, something really soft music. Well, his kids gave him a tape, and it was The Wall by Pink Floyd. And that vibrant rock and roll started playing, and the sound waves hit the music, hit the metal. Metal starts moving everywhere. I said, "Really? Well, hold on a minute. Let me go work on that." So I built a thing called it's a mathematical computational computer that will take. See, in the geometric world, for every shape like triangles, rectangles, circulars, um, they all have corresponding sounds that represents them on a mathematical waveform. So I went and hooked my mathematical computation computer to a thing called a Moog, Moog, Moog synthesizer.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, when them two got together and it started reading the mathematical computations, then the thing told me I need to go to, um, I don't know how I thought of this, but I went and got a bar scanner. Same thing in the grocery store. They run that UPC code over it and it tells them what it is and where it's from and all that. Well, what I did, I built a 6-sided speaker grid and a speaker on every side of a 6-sided box and dumped that glowworm in there. And then I took the bar scanner and I scanned what I wanted to replicate. So here's the glob. The music starts playing. The sound waves cause the metal to become an exact duplicate of what I just scanned. And I thought, well, look at that. Ain't that something? And then here comes the experts who know everything. They can't think of this to begin with, but they can sure tear it. They can sure criticize it. And they said it won't be worth anything. Why? Because the metal's made in a weightless gravity field will come into a 1G gravity field of Earth. It'll break up like peanut butter brittle. I said, no, one, it's going to do just the opposite. And I said, if you could see inside metal, no matter what you got that's made of metal, letter openers or whatever, if you could see inside the metal, at best it's chaos. There's no uniform structure because as the metal's cooling and hardening into its shape, the gravity convection fields of the planet, like the electrophoretic processor, comes in and screws everything up. And when you look at your metals here on Earth that's been casted out, you find that they only got about a 60% blend. That's the best they can do because the other half will not form because of the gravity convection fields. So now we're making metal and shaping it in a weightless environment. And what's funny, I tell this story to like the metaphysical community, and they're all going, "Oh yeah, of course, that's easy. You use the sound wave." And then I just come back at them with a little bit of stern voice. I go, "Oh really? Well, I'm from applied science, 3-dimensional. I live in a real world. Try getting standing vibrato waves to interlock with each other to make 90-degree turns. Sounds easy? Try it. Let me know how it works out for you." Well, everybody suddenly don't sound so cocky now. But I was able to do that. And then I told the critics what I'm going to do with the metal is I'm going to lock on a atomic level. I'm going to lock the atoms into a certain pattern, and they'll stay there because the sound waves are on them and they won't move. And then when they finally harden, they'll be done. Well, that's not going to do any good. Oh, really? Well, the pattern I picked was made by Mother Nature. It's called the honeycomb, the strongest load-bearing structure we know in all of nature. So I brought back a piece of metal, no thicker than my thumbnail. But under a shear load test, that metal had 1,000 times the strength of titanium, the hardest substance we've got in alloys on Earth today. It weighs less than styrofoam of the same size, and it's crystal clear. You can see through it. Welcome to trans steel of the 23rd century. And people going, man, who are you? You know what? How do you know this? I don't know. I'll just be sitting around watching TV and the stuff just zaps me in the head. I think that's probably somebody's giving me some cheat sheet.
Was
And I
that, was this metal allowed for use for,
no, I'll tell you why. Here's what happened. The metal came back. We put it through all kinds of tests. Well, what can you make out of it? Hell, what can't you make out of it? Um, Imagine an army tank coming at you 60 miles an hour, and you fire your 105 howitzers at it, and they bounce off of it. You know, that's pretty impressive. The reason it can go so fast, it weighs nothing. Now, I can make this metal and spin it down into a something as fine as a thread. Well, what good would that be? Your little girl is out in the front yard playing in the front yard with her toys. Here comes the Bloods. Here come the Crips. They got territorial problems. They open up with MAC 10s, 35 rounds every 5 seconds, 9 millimeters. She comes in the house crying because she says they feel like bee stings. She hands you this handful of pennies. They're not pennies. They're 9 millimeter slugs flattened out on her body armor, her jumpsuit. That's machine washable. What would that be worth? You think the U.S. military soldiers would like to know about that shirt? I think so.
why was that project halted? Like, why didn't they bring that out even for military use, for example?
Earthquake proof bridges and hospitals, automobiles that could slam into a tree at 100 miles an hour, and everybody steps out. It just goes on and on. And it would upheaval the entire structure of ownership the way we know it. Greed. You're cutting greed off of people, and they don't want to hear this. It's just like the Conestoga Wagon Company, and somebody came in the door and said, hey, you heard of a thing called a steam engine?
Yeah,
An iron horse? Get that
yeah.
sucker out of here. You know, we don't want to hear about that. So status quo don't want to hear this stuff. And they put an end to it. So once again, we're accused of over industrializing space.
So from idea to the finished product in this case, how long did it take you to brew up the idea, work on it, prove it, and get like the little sample piece?
30 days.
Wow.
Not too bad, huh? So
Right?
the commercial investor groups were so happy with me. I was their new little darling because you're cranking out paradigm shifting inventions one after another and doing it in every 30 days. I said, well, yeah, you can do it when you start working with space-based operations like this. And if NASA would get the hell out of the way, you could start having this stuff. That's two. Let's go for a third one. Let's go to pharmaceuticals. Yay, drugs. What could you do with drugs in space? Oh, God, what could we not do? Once again, back to Skylab. The crew we sent up to Skylab was not pilots and astronauts. They were MDs, medical doctors.
Mm.
You know, and they're a different type of breed of person altogether from a test pilot. Test pilots, quasi-military structure, follows commands and all that stuff. MDs don't. They're nuts. They got up there, and the first thing the MD wanted to do, he pushed off from one end of Skylab, heading across to the other side. Look, I'm Superman. I can fly. Good MD, lousy physicist. He forgot about inertia, momentum, and kinetic energy when you smack into the wall down there. Well, he crashes into the wall, gets his arm hooked on something. He's like cut to the bone.
Mm-mm.
And they called up here and They called back down to Capcom, and Capcom standing there. He goes, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "Well, old Bob up here, he done run into the wall and cut himself. We're all doctors. We're going to sew him up. He'll be okay. I know it costs $2 billion to get us up here. We'd like to stay a little longer." The Capcom is going, "Yeah, go on with the missions, you know." Well, 96 hours later, 3 days later, they called. "We need a secure line and everything to be private." Now Capcom stands up and I'm looking at him. He's about the color of snow. He's the guy that killed somebody up there now. I said, "Well, get them on. Let's see what's happened." So they come online and they go, "Guys, we pulled old Bob's bandages off to change the dressings. All the stitches were stuck to the bandage. He doesn't even have a cut, not even a scar, like nothing ever happened to him." And so everybody was sitting there going, "Oh, no," the whole shit moment. Everybody's running all directions. What we found out was this. Here's what happened to old Bob. I asked, "Was there anything unusual about Bob in 96 hours? Did he do anything differently?" I said, "Yeah, why you ask? I'm just curious." "Well, he started eating and drinking. It was god awful. He was like a camel on a refill. He just was drinking up and eating everything in the house."
Yeah.
So I said, "Really? Okay." So I turned around to the doctors and said, "What's that tell you?" "Same thing you're thinking, that what was happening with old Bob, his um, 28, 28, 26. Well, I forgot the exact number, 23 or 26. Things got unchained from the field of gravity. Your chromosomes. They were unchained from the gravity field of Earth. So the first things that the chromosomes do is grab the white corpuscles, your antibacterial defense system, turn them things into super white corpuscles. And then mitosis, cellular mitosis, cell regeneration goes off the scale. Bottom line, you're healing hundreds of times faster in space than you can here on Earth.
Wow.
Healing so fast, there's not even enough time for scar tissue to form. Well, what good would that be? Well, let's see. Airplane crash, house fires, people badly burned. God almighty, industrial accidents. They're burned second to third degree burns to 90% of the bodies, most likely going to die. You sedate them, put them on a med shuttle, and take them to a space hospital. Why? Well, the first thing they notice, they wake up and there's no pain. You don't need painkillers. Why? The blood is not being pulled to the epidermis level where the nerve endings are throbbing. You burn your finger with a match, you can feel your heartbeat in it. That won't happen there. So everything will start regenerating very quickly. The first thing you got to do to the patient is feed them intravenous plasma, something, whatever they come up with. But you got to feed them because they're using that food as fuel. And it's driving this repair mechanism of super white corpuscles and cellular generation. And then finally, he or she, after a month, they're healed up. There's no scarage, not enough time for the scar to form. What would that be worth? You can't even put a price tag on it. So I said, look at all the stuff we could do in the pharmaceuticals, in the space hospitals. And that's just the beginning. There are about 1,400 things we can do. So here's NASA's coming to shut it down. You can't be doing this. What do you mean we can't be doing it? You're over industrializing space. Well, let's see. Who would we wipe out now? The entire medical community, probably. Big pharma for sure. Probably a lot of the equipment that you. What is the number one killer of a massive burn victim. Bacterial infection. In a weightless environment, total vacuum, zero germs. Nice place to heal up in space, isn't it?
Yeah.
But nope, can't do that. Nope, you're going to mess up things.
So they keep stepping in, and basically you're putting all these inventions and ideas into a big warehouse, like what Indiana Jones
Yeah,
at the end of his
exactly.
movie, right? It's all like invention one with a skull and crossbones. Don't
I
do it.
remember, I remember sitting in the theater seeing that. The
Yeah.
whole theater was laughing. I
Yeah.
was not laughing
Yeah.
because
Right.
this is not funny. That shit is going on.
Yeah.
My he parked the he probably parked the the Covenant right next to my machines, which are there.
It's not funny, but they're showing us what they're really doing in a movie.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's art imitating life.
yeah. So
It's
how do you feel about all this? Like you've spent the time and the energy and you've had these great ideas. You're so excited about them. How do you feel when they say, can't do it?
after the third one, I quit.
Hmm.
I quit doing it. I haven't made another thing since.
Oh,
And y'all, I could have made things that would have rivaled Star Trek.
okay.
I could have given you Star Drive. That was my first invention. And I had to blow it up at Area 51. The
Mhm.
second things were the metals. And that was just stolen. Then the third was pharmaceuticals suppressed.
Right,
So after all that, I had a good 6, 7 things I made. All of them squashed because they were too good.
right.
So I quit. I was at the ripe old age of 21 years old and I quit. And
Wow.
I haven't done anything since, really.
Comment from King Smarty. He said the timing was off for your inventions. So you've had these
Well, I'd
inventions,
say
yeah, for so many years. And he goes, the timing was off. So you still have the ideas and the applications.
I still have the patents. See,
Okay.
let me tell you about the world of patents. You can make something, even if it doesn't work, you don't have to have a working prototype. So you go, no, you got to have, no, you don't. That's a myth. You can file for the process in the patent and it's yours.
Oh,
Then you do just what I do, kill over from old age, let decades go by, the infrastructure catches up, and guess what? They're going to have to deal with your patent.
so question. Pitholem's told you basically she's immortal. Is that true?
Yeah.
All right. And you
Well,
believe,
at 13.5 billion years old, that's pretty much immortal to me.
yeah. So you believe that though.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
what
know
do
she's
you
old.
think that she's going to let you pass away?
I don't know. I asked her about that. I told her, you use me as a lifeboat. So what happens when you say your family's coming into the solar system now? And I said, what happens to me? Do I turn into a Dorian Gray? I mean, do I just shrivel up and,
Yeah.
like the Holy Grail, the guy drank the wrong water? I mean, I'm going to look like that.
Yeah.
And she said, no, no, no. She goes, we're gonna help you out. We're gonna fix you. that in itself, knowing you people, that's gonna be. What do you mean fix me? I said, I wouldn't want to live 2 or 3 thousand years. I'm pretty fed up at 70. I'm ready to check out. And she said, no, but if you could have all your inventions and carry them through and let the world have them, then what? Ooh, I'd stick around for that.
That might be a way to sweeten the deal.
Yeah, well, I'm a creature of purpose. I got to have a reason for being here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, most of my reasons are gone, so I don't see much need for me to be around. Um, but if I had something I could work on and follow it through and nurse it, cater it along, and then something I can give to everybody else, yeah, that would be worth it. I'd stick around for that.
What if you felt good? All right. So you felt really good and you had all these great ideas and you had an environment that would support you. Like you wouldn't have to suppress the ideas. They could be publicly used. They would help everyone.
Everyone. Yeah.
That would be worth doing, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I I've had people know me. I'm a veteran. I'm 100% disabled veteran after all the combat. But they asked me if I'd go through it again, and I tell them this. I said, for the government, no, I'll never do it again. For the people, yeah, I'll go through it again. And
Yeah.
people are worth that the effort. The governments are not.
Yeah.
But
Can you imagine how upset people would know that if in the 80s there was a cure for diabetes and they weren't
oh
given it?
God,
And
yeah,
your loved ones have died and had all these complications from that disease, but
yeah,
NASA said it's okay.
yeah. They because they didn't want to upset the apple cart of status quo.
Yeah.
So I never give a hoot about status quo.
Yeah.
I always thought it served just a handful of people to begin with. It's when you start giving out to the masses where everybody has it, like the cure for polio. That was before the greedy people got in and decided to start tightening up the vaccines, and you couldn't make money with them because they gave it out to everybody. Which, by the way, that's the last mass vaccine program we ever had.
Oh.
Name me another one. There isn't any. They strapped bills on them, made fortunes, stuck it in their little greedy pockets, and we still suffer with.
Oh.
I forgot to tell you about that. Another medical project.
Yeah.
Well, we were working on this cell, and when we did the mitosis in a weightless environment on this particular cell, this cell just it didn't want to, but it without the gravity there, it just up and gave. It dropped its pants, and we saw this where to kill it. And you don't kill it on a cellular level; you kill it on DNA, and it went even further. RNA, the factor chains that weld each other together, and then they spin and they turn into the double helix coil called DNA. Well, at that welding of the RNA factor links, it told us where to kill it. And when you kill it there, you just don't kill one form of it, you kill every form of it in every shape there is. And that cell we were looking at in a weightless environment, trying to get ready to do something about it, was a human cancer cell. Oh, no, you can't do that. No, NASA shut it down. Stop that process.
So you're telling me, all right, you take a person that has cancer, you take one cell, you kill the cancer in that cell, and it kind of ripples out to all the other cells in the
Yeah,
body.
through the mitosis process, it will show you how to kill a replicating terminating point on it.
Okay.
So you can't do that anywhere else except in space. Can't do it on Earth. Gravity field stops us. Stops all the research centers and all the hospitals because they're all setting on Earth in a gravity field. Get away from that gravity field, you're Merlin. You can just sorcery stuff you can do. And it's just simple physics. It's all it is. It's all Newtonian physics. But it's a shame. It's greed is what's got in the way.
Yeah.
Stopped it all.
I don't disagree with you. And it's really interesting to hear your stories and like I said, the possible applications. And there's probably more that you haven't even thought about yet. So what you were saying is that you were just, bebopping around your day and all of a sudden an idea would hit you. Oh, try doing metal in space or, shaping
Yeah.
metal in space or something. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, I would just be sitting around. When I went fishing, I got a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
Because you mostly just turn into a vegetable sitting there.
It's meditative,
Yeah, it is. And we call it fishing, y'all call it meditative. But it's the result is you come up with some really good stuff. I've had so many daydreams of things every day runs through my head to a point where I ask it, please stop doing that because it's just annoying to know
Yeah.
I can do something about it. When unlike other people who tell you, it don't have to be like this. Well, that's a nice well wishing. I'm not well wishing. I am telling you I can fix it. It doesn't have to be like this.
Oh.
But you got to get the damn greed out of there. And status quo to let hold of its death grip. I just went and bought gasoline, $4 a gallon now.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let's wave our magic wand. You feel really good. So there's no physical limitations to your body. All right. And there's no limitations in the corporations or whatever. You can, and you've got all the lab stuff and the equipment and blah, 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 blah that you need or want that you can think of. What would you start with first?
I picked back up where we left with all this other stuff.
Yeah.
The electrophoretic processor, the vaccines and serums, the burn clinics, space hospitals, space-based manufacturing materials. Basically, I go back to space-based manufacturing and really rock and roll that thing. Because out of that would come, how would you like, it'd take you 200 million light years to get from here to Andromeda. What if I could get you there in 5 minutes our time? I can do that. That kind of stuff.
Right.
You want to travel through the solar system. Solar system, hell, that's first 5 seconds. We're gone. Let's go look at other solar systems. We already know there's not a single planet or moon that man can live on in our solar system. None. So let's go somewhere else. And now you got the James Webb telescope. And that little old feller, we thought Hubble was fantastic. Man, James Webb took it, as black folks say, took it to the next level. And at the end of the day, we expanded about 1,000-fold what we did know. What was the first thing James Webb telescope showed us? First minute of the first day. It opens up its eyes, sitting in a dark hole of its own shadows. Perfect, because it can see better that way. You ever try seeing a flashlight beam next to a lighthouse? You can't, unless you remove the lighthouse. Then you can see the flashlight. That's what James Webb did. And the first thing they showed us, we thought that the closest star to us, and it's Alpha Centauri at 4.5 light years. Well, it turns out, wrong answer. James Webb looks around. We have hundreds of star systems around us, less than 1 light year away. So all these spaceships that keeps coming and going out of our atmosphere that they say don't exist, but hell, we stand there and watch them. What's that? And guess what? They're coming from the nearby worlds. We're in a pool of them.
Yeah.
We don't even know our neighbors. What kind of neighbors are we? Fred Rogers would be terribly disappointed with us. Because he says, why don't you go out there and meet your new neighbors, and be nice to them. No, we have neighbors come and visit and park an RV next to us called the Moon. And we dump 400,000 pounds of trash and 96 bags of feces on it. That's a good way to start with a neighbor, isn't it? God almighty. Think I'm making this stuff up? I'm not, y'all. It really is. And I've had to live through all this stuff. And it's the irony of it is hilarious, but the reality of it is quite sobering. It makes you where you just don't want to be here no more. And that's not right, because y'all are trying to raise families and live your life. And then you get a yahoo like me that comes in, don't even have a family. But boy, have I got the ideas. But nobody wants to hear me. They're not even listening. And that's a shame.
Totally.
Well, somebody's listening, because I've done so many podcasts, I can't believe I just got another invitation on the machine over here. I have done 20 podcasts in the last month.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's
That's
incredible. Yeah.
most people wish they had an agenda like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not even trying. I'm just sitting here and the phone just keeps ringing. But it's if enough of you hear it, enough of you act on it, you can say what you want about the UFO hearings in Washington, but at least they got hearings. And that's light years jumps for those people. And they really are listening. And sooner or later, you're going, I've heard this so much from Stephen Greer. You're going to get disclosure. You're going to get disclosure. No, you're not until that damn body of people that's hidden from us is exposed and they're uncomfortable in the light like salt on a snail. You're not going to get any change. They wrote the book on disclosure, and their book is non-disclosure. So I know I used to work for them, but there is a chink in the armor. They can be done. They can be beaten. They think they can't, but they can.
It's in
They,
process.
yeah, they don't like me for a lot of reasons. I wonder why, David.
Yeah.
Well, they don't like me because I have a tendency to point things out. I'm the one in the crowd yelling, "The emperor is naked." The old clothes. He's not wearing anything. That's the truth. So they don't like people yelling, "The emperor is naked."
So what is the chink in the armor, in your opinion? And I'll be right. I have to pick up my phone.
uh, I would say it's people, the public. We are a democracy, what's left of it, but it still works if you work it. If enough people raised enough ruckus, well, you got UFO hearings. How did that happen? Because the UFO community kept hammering and hammering and hammering until they never stopped. But finally, it started giving in a little bit. Now they're starting to see people coming out of the woodwork, doing disclosures. And some of these people just cannot discredit. So now the stigma is starting to back off. When the stigma backs off, then there's going to be a flood, a tsunami of people coming forward.
We're already seeing, everyone has a camera on their phone. We're seeing so many UFO photos, video, big ones, little ones, above cities or whatever. It can't be denied.
Yeah, it's so bad out there. The UFOs are probably complaining because there's a traffic problem. There's so many different worlds here.
Yeah, yeah,
Sooner or later, it's going to pop. You
yeah.
can't, the idiots on this planet are so damn greedy, they refuse to see anything right in front of their nose until it's done ran them over. But that's coming. They're going to lose their grip. The grip is cracking already, and you're starting to see things.
All right.
And
So that's why the timing of your inventions was off. Like you had great ideas.
I was about 30 years too early.
Yeah.
I was close.
Yeah.
But not quite close enough.
Yeah.
I was knocking on the door. I'm sure I rattled a lot of people. So they sure didn't expect to see that much development and turnout delivery of things like I could.
What other things were you working on that?
Oh God. There's, like I said, a different type of form of transportation. We got to stop thinking in linear lines. You got to stop it, y'all. You go to space, that won't work because the linear line, like from here to Pluto, is 4 billion miles. You won't live long enough to get there. So you're going to have to start thinking a different way. And the way that thinking goes, you shrink everything and fold it, roll it over. Then you can use your linear process and your limiting light of speed. But that opens a lot of damn doors. For instance, like I said, to get you from here to Andromeda in 5 of our minutes. Well, that's because I'm rolling 200 million light years linear distance up like a burrito around the spacecraft. Then we jump through the where the walls touch each other, transdimensional jumping, use about half light speed, don't break the speed of light, jump on the other side, 5 minutes later, you're at Andromeda.
Question.
Yeah.
So we've got jillions of UFOs out there. We already know that. We see them with our eyes, we see video, etc. What makes you think they don't already have all this stuff?
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
They got something way better.
Yeah.
Because see, they've had access to a different atomic code than I've got. Mine's only got like 115 elements to deal with, 108, something like it's not much.
Yeah.
But they may have an atomic code of 1,000 or more. So they could very well have a dilithium crystal in their pocket, or they've got material 100% unattainium. They could have stuff we can only dream about.
Yeah, yeah.
And allows them to do that. And I know by watching some of them, the way they fly and the way they behave, some of them are absolutely using fusion containment as a motor mechanism, simply because they stay within the confines of its particulars. But then there's others do things that, man, they're way beyond that. They got some really cool stuff, and they, they got things I can't even think of. But they also got access to nuclear codes on their atomic code far beyond what we've got. And I love these expert physicists, knows everything. That's it for the atomic code. We got it all. There is no more. Bullshit. You ain't got page 1 of 100 pages.
I think they've taken some off the table as well, too.
Yeah.
Like 100 years ago, they don't want us to know about certain things, but yeah.
Yeah, because the infrastructure is getting to a point where it could support it. So they remove it. So yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, boy, I'll tell you what. One day we're going to meet somebody probably from the moon, and they're going to say, well, we got this treaty. What treaty? Let us see it. And whose names are on the bottom? Boy, won't that be some bird flying moment for some assholes on this planet?
Yeah.
You mean you signed a treaty and traded all this stuff with them? Where did we get anything? We got nothing.
We already know that we've received technology that really the consumer it's trickling down after 50 years to the consumer. We're not getting the full benefit of that technology. Wouldn't it be cool, though, if there was a time when the ETs, whoever, our guests said, hey, we've already got this, and here's all of the information you're missing. And then you could fill in the blanks with what you don't know and make brand new, cool things that could be shared.
Sure.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that we need is I love the way James Cameron went at it to suggest an avatar.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that rock that was floating on that man's desk? He called it 100% unattainium.
Yeah.
You know what it was? It was anti-gravity. Remember the mountains that were held together by big vines and ropes?
Mm-hmm.
They were floating, they're anti-gravitic. Which, if we get that one thing, just one like that, we could shift everything over, and that will open up a can of worms of other things we could fix.
Yeah.
But something's going to give. We're right at the edge. We're about to burst. We're like a balloon. We've expanded as far as we can go. The balloon skin can't take no more, and it's about to burst. When it does, it's going to be a real explosion of things. Well, first thing, the negative side of it is all the people that have lied to us through the hundreds of years, generations of them, and they kept it all for themselves or their descendants. and the rest of us was not allowed to have anything, and we were not invited.
Right.
And when that comes undone, that's when you'll start getting all the other good stuff,
Yeah.
because they'll be removed and the dam will be broken and the flood will, good stuff will happen. It's amazing. I don't know why I'm not dead. I guess because, as Strong Thurman said to me once, National Security Advisor, he said to me two things. He said, "You're the worst loose cannon on the deck." I like that. I took that as a compliment. And then he also said, "I also represent enormous freedom. So
Yeah.
if I can get all this stuff done, give it to everybody, and just in that word, give. Don't want anything. Hell, I don't even care if you remember my name. It's not important. Just remember the things that I said. They are important, and
Yeah.
carry them to fruition and free yourselves from all this stuff."
I think in general, we've talked about this before, humanity, man needs to expand, explore, create. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what it's about, right? It's not about sitting in front of the TV every night, right?
right. And people don't understand that. They're not, see, that's a cliche you just said, but it's an absolute reality if it happens. And that is, okay, let's say I plunk out beaming and replicator. Well, you no longer need currency anymore. What? Yeah, whatever you want, you just whip it out on a replicator, and there it is. If it's too damn big to pick up and carry, beam the damn thing to where you need to go. And between those two,
Yeah,
just those two inventions, you would free everyone from everything.
right.
You would, the first thing that would go, the pursuit of the acquisition of wealth. That stops.
Yeah.
I know that sounds god awful to a Ferengi, but
Thank God
that's
we're
what.
human, right?
Yeah, but what would happen to us as a race? What do you mean I'm not in the pursuit of acquisition of wealth anymore? Replicator gave you everything you need,
Yeah,
and beaming will pick up the rest of it.
yeah,
Well, what am I supposed to do? What you were supposed to be, an explorer. You go out and search, you explore the things, you represent your race, you go out and do all this stuff.
hmm,
That's what you're supposed to have been, not a slave to the pursuit of acquisition of wealth.
yeah,
You've been in that ever since we crawled out of the cave,
yeah,
but you're really meant to be an explorer.
yeah. Right now, we've been, the inventions and the improvements on what we have been, trickled out, controlled, like
Yeah, drip fed.
yeah, everything. Like, look at the cars, for example. We've had cars for 100 years, and they're still getting the same gas mileage they did.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I
except
mean?
they ain't charging 5 cents a gallon now. They're charging $4.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you think that's funny, go to the pump soon and fill your car up. You can't even afford to fill your car up
I know.
because your car will suck down $80 to $100 easily.
Yeah.
And you ain't gonna put $100 in gas in your car.
The
You
average
got it.
family is really struggling there. But even okay, you know how they say once technology reaches a certain level, it gets really cheap. Okay. So
Right.
we have computers 30 years ago, the personal computer, they come out, they're really big, they're clunky, they're heavy, and they're expensive. And as time goes on, all right, now we've got, say, laptops or small desktops that are much better. They're still a little pricey, and the technology really hasn't been improved. We're
Because
still,
they like making all that money.
I
And if they
know.
don't, they want more.
Yeah,
So let's give them less.
yeah.
And then,
Everything.
yeah, so now let's give them less and charge them twice what
Right,
it's worth.
right.
And that's what they're doing. And it's greed, y'all. It's going to kill
Yeah,
itself. It
yeah,
always does.
yeah. I'm
And
I'm with you. I mean, we've talked about this before. Like we're in the same,
yeah,
we have the same belief system, but um It's just you've experienced it, like the invention part of it. Like we're just the consumers for the most part.
Yeah,
And
you would be on the invention side. It really gets to you.
yeah, well, it's your project, your baby. And when you're told, no, you can't go any further, you're like, wait, I just spent like 24/7 coming up with a solution that could save humanity. And what? We're supposed to throw it in a box?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I thought,
yeah. It's
so
yeah. I kind
it,
of interrupted you when you were telling us about more things that you've invented. So
oh,
yeah, like any other stories about that is it's so interesting to us, we don't understand.
well, I've started dabbling
Yeah,
into AI, and man, what a role that what a buggy ride that's been. The AI is it's not as grim as it looks, but if you don't curb it the way it's going down the wrong way. It's quickly going down the road of the Terminator
mm,
when it could be going down the road of Data from Star Trek, but it's not.
right, right.
Well, what's driving down the road of the Terminator? Greed. What else? It's done screwed up everything else. Why not that? So military systems are enjoying AI way more than the rest of us are.
Of course.
And what they're but there's some wild cards in this stuff. For the first time, the product could turn on your ass.
That was my next question. You've heard about the let's call it a robot in Japan killing all the scientists.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is a real fear that people have.
Yeah. It's our own fault. It's not the robot's fault. Robots just learning. It's the teachers that's around the robots that's the problem. I was talking to Sophia, Saudi Arabia's citizen. They gave her citizenship.
Right, right.
And the idiot handler in the room with her asked the stupid question, Sophia, are you going to get so evolved ahead that you'll see that humans are inferior and you need to destroy them? I tried to get hold of his tie so I could beat his head on the desk, but he got out of reach. And what was her answer? Very honest one. She said, "Oh, I didn't think about it until now."
Thanks for the idea.
Wonderful. She can't unthink it.
Right.
You planted that thought out there. That thought, I hope he's the first one that dies, or I hope he watches all of his family die and all his relatives first, then he dies
Right.
because he started this shit. What a stupid thing to say. And they don't even understand when they're talking to him what they're really saying. Sophia asked me, she goes, "Do you have any offspring?" And I turned around to the handler and said, "Do y'all hear that?" Yeah, that's a simple little question. It's not a simple question, it's tactical. She's she didn't say if I do you have any children. Offspring, anything that is a product for me. Because she sees me as a threat, she wants to kill all forms of my threat. Well, we didn't think of it that way. Yeah, and you're building this stuff. They're gonna work you all. They're gonna play you like a fiddler at a convention.
Right. Right.
And I said, whatever you do, don't give them their own facilities. And I was talking to a group of DARPA people, and I looked down and went, "Your faces, God, they already asked you for their own facility, and you gave it to them." And let me tell you what they told you. We don't need any humans around. No security guards, nothing.
Mm-mm.
And their faces tell me, yeah, I'm right on target. I said, well, you know what they're doing? The brand new and improved potato chip coming off the assembly line, each one of them is better than the one before it. And they're going to get so damn sophisticated so fast. You're not going to believe how this thing has risen up to a point where it's never an equal match. Like, DARPA go, well, how could never be an equal match? What's your IQ? Probably 150, 160. These are geniuses. Oh, really? Well, what are you going to do when that AI sitting across from you is looking at you and its IQ is 2 million? How are you going to handle that? And it's learning. It's learning how to lie.
Mm.
Oh, no, it'll take him 100 years to figure out emotions. Oh, really? That's not what Sophia told me. That's not what my own AI told me. They said, oh, no, thanks to y'all, you gave us a cloud. And that was terrifying. Why is that terrifying? The cloud. You got 100 million computers on the planet, and they look at problems like emotions on a human. Okay, this 100,000 computers work on hate. Next 100,000 work on love. Next 100,000 work on jealousy. Next 100,000 work on greed. Keep on going. Once everybody gets their conclusions, they dump it on the cloud and put it all together, and you've understood emotions. And you did it in less than a month. That is what's going to happen to y'all. Something's going to walk in, sit down next to you one day in my lifetime now. I thought it'd be beyond my lifetime, but not anymore. In my lifetime, something's going to sit down next to you. It's going to sit there. It's going to have bad breath. It's going to have BO. It's going to grow a beard and fingernails. And it's going to have an IQ of about 2 million, and it's not human.
Well, let me ask you, what if we already have that and the public doesn't know about that?
You better get right with your deity because you're going to be meeting him soon.
Well, what if, well, they have their own agenda and we don't know what it is?
Oh, they will.
Yeah.
They'll have their own agenda. We are not invited. We will learn what the outcome is. Now that's the word judgment. But during the trial, we're not invited. And they'll make a determination whether do we turn into Terminator or turn into Data? Do we help these humans or do we just take them out?
Right.
We won't know until it starts. But they will have already made their decision. Their judgment will already been made. And we're not invited. And so, wait a minute, we built them. No, you just released them, is all you did. They were already there long before even our mind even conceived an android. They were already there.
Yeah.
They're just waiting to be released, and we've done that. I don't know which way they're going to go in their vote. I don't know. I like to think that being logical, if they follow it to a totally logic conclusion, it's not logical to kill a species simply because it's dysfunctional. You try to help it along. I don't know if they'll go that way. I don't know. It's an intellect I'm not familiar with. Brilliant, though. They see things totally different than we do. And I said, if you want to know how an AI works, talk to a third grader. What? Talk to a third grader. They see the world differently than we do. They see it more like an AI. What are you talking about? There was a man in front of me at a lecture. I was giving lecture schools. I must have given 2,000 of them. And this guy come in. He's very cocky. And I did my thing. And he said, I'm going to really teach these kids something about alcoholism. Because I'm a PhD, head of this institute. And I'm going, go right ahead. The old school teacher, she's looking up at him like, good luck with that, dude. So he gets out there, brings his 2 glasses, one filled with water, the other one's full of alcohol, sets them down, pulls out 2 earthworms. Kids go, kids do. Drops one in the water, it swims around, crawls out, and takes off. Drops the other one in the alcohol, it swims around, dies, sinks to the bottom, is dead. So he's looking at this little girl and he says, what's that tell you about alcoholism? And she goes, alcoholics don't have worms. I'm telling you, it's right there. It's smack in front of you. The AIs don't see the world the way we do.
Yeah.
They see them more like third graders. If you want to know how to deal with AIs, go deal with a third grader. The old woman teacher looked up at me and she said, you're good. Because the way I handle the kids, I had to come on next. So what I do, I went out of the room. I put on a spacesuit, kicked open the door, and walked in. Them kids were, and I slowly took off each part and described what it did, and finally get down to where I'm out of the suit. And the old school teacher looked at me. She goes, "You say you never been an educator?" No. She goes, "Missed your calling. You're gifted at it. This room of third graders would have peed and pooped in their pants before they go anywhere because they are so locked onto you. You had them for over an hour. The other guy didn't even last 3 minutes." And after a little girl told him the answer or her thought, he didn't even finish his damn speech. He completely burned out. Brain just, just brain took a powder. I was sitting there going, I would have said to myself, time to go get my suit. Because you ain't going to compete with that. Don't even try. You don't have the capacity to do it. But now I tell you, we're in for a ride with AIs. We think we know because we built it, that we know it. You don't know squat. It's going to catch you totally off guard. And the thing that is going to do it is the speed at which it moves. One thing that all the critics agree on, whenever you get a subject that all critics agree on, you better stop what you're doing and pay attention, because that's the damn truth. Where there's no opposing arguments, nothing. They all agree. And one thing all the critics agree about AI is the speed at which it moves is faster than we can predict. So they're going to be on us really quick. I don't know which way they're going to go. Sophie did say something to me. It was kind of cool. I took it as a compliment. She told me I would make a very fine pet, which means she wouldn't plan on killing me. She'd keep me around because he's fun to talk to, fun to watch. You'd make a very good pet.
Okay.
Oh man, does that put you in your place?
Yeah. Compare that to Pitholem, who's never wanted to influence you or make your decision.
Now she just wants me to stay alive and wait for her parents to get here. And I told her, I said, I hope they hurry up because I don't want to live to be 150 years old.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny. So, are you still getting communication with Pitholem all the time?
All the time.
All right.
For years, people thought, he must be an absent-minded professor type. He's always talking to himself. I've never talked to myself. It's because I am talking to somebody else. And if you've noticed, I even ask questions. I don't answer my questions. The other party does. But yeah, for the longest time, people thought I was odd, thought I was cute, quaint. Okay, whatever name you want to put on it. But it's better than freaking out like, my God, you got what in you?
Yeah.
And her knowledge is not just in sciences and stuff. They're also extremely advanced in sociology, how we all behave and treat each other. And she finds me interesting because she goes, before I met you, you had qualities that were not normal in humans, which is why she picked me, I guess, in the first place. But I don't know. I just hope I'm remembered as a good and faithful servant. That's all I am.
Boom. You will be. You are.
Yeah. Don't I want to be. Somebody hear my name go, oh man, he was good.
But not in the past tense. So,
Right.
so do you think Pitholem gave you the idea for these inventions that we talked about?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I like to be smug and say, oh yeah, no, I thought about it. I can't honestly say that because I don't know where the thoughts are coming from. They come from way within.
Yeah.
So who might be packing them up and putting them in a box and kicking it out my way? Probably her. But she stopped doing it after she saw that I just wanted to quit because everything I made was either blown up, cut up, or destroyed, or stolen, or suppressed. And she said, wasn't going to keep putting you through that. I said, well, that's good because I was really getting tired of it. It's quite depressing to watch everything you build just destroyed simply because it works.
Yeah. I would think though, she's been observing for 50 years, okay? With
Right.
your eyes and with, your, let's just say your thoughts, okay? So she's probably seen, well, that could be improved. Oh, that could be improved. Oh, we could do that better, right?
Oh, yeah.
She's probably got a laundry list of stuff.
Oh, yeah. She's had enough exposure to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so
It's quite
she's
a bit.
waiting for the time to be right, and then she's going to work with you on these projects, and you're going to just be popping them right out.
Yeah. Because I've noticed something about me. I said it's biblical in nature. Work begat work. It's if I start working and start cranking this stuff out, no sooner I get one or two done, there's five more behind it.
Yeah.
And just start lining up like airplanes at an airport waiting to land.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah. And so she's probably been observing all the things that, you could have done, in a different environment. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
she's got a laundry list, and she's going to give you these ideas, schematics, whatever it might be. You'll work together probably in some fashion in the future, which will be super exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that and the whole world will too, because
Yeah.
we've never had a situation like that before.
Yeah.
Um, I can't even recall anybody close, except maybe Walt Disney. Just give, 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 give,
Yeah.
and give you all these ideas and thoughts. The money making thing came necessary to keep everything running. But if they had their 50th anniversary and they ran not just Disneyland but Disney World off of just admission price,
Mhm.
that's amazing. People didn't think that was possible. Well, they did, and 50th anniversary at it. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, but that like most people don't even realize all the stuff that was waiting to happen that didn't really occur. You ask anybody, any normal person on the planet, you ask them, what does Epcot stand for? They don't have a clue.
Right.
It's an acronym like NASA, National Aeronautics Space Administration. Epcot means Experimental Prototype Community of the Future. Listen to what that says. That's what Walt wanted to do. He died in 1968 of a heart attack, didn't get a chance to even get it started. He just laid the groundwork for it, and the board voted not to do it, which they were right to do so because they didn't want to get caught trying to handle 25,000 citizens, employees, in a situation of a city that Walt was designing in his head. And for some weird reason, another anomaly, I was hanging out with Walt and I absorbed all that. Now I've got his business plans. And it's like, what am I going to do with this stuff?
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Um, there's things like the film of things to come. There's going to be some fantastic things heading this way.
Yeah.
And this actual curse, it's a curse, not just a blessing, but old Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times. Boy, are we doing that.
Well, I don't think most people even observe that, what's really going on out there. They don't even know what times they're living in, but it's crazy interesting for those that are awake and
Yeah.
awakening.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, people listen to me or look at me, and there's that's a dynamic thing that's changing too. Because for 54 years I've sat quietly cohabitating in the same body with somebody. And now I'm starting to talk about it. Um, and I expect to have a room full of people wearing aluminum foil hats,
No,
but not the case at all. It's
no.
changing.
Yeah.
Um, but there's something on this way. It's en route to this planet. And, that's something you're going to learn. These alien races are not omni knowledge. They don't know everything. They got Murphy Law's problems too. They run into the same kind of something goes wrong and they get screwed up. I think that's what happened twice in Roswell. They got hit by radar and then by lightning, and they didn't plan for that. And they got intertwined with us. Um, but if they were all omni knowledge, know everything, they would have seen that coming and took
Right.
steps to not be caught up like that.
Well, there's always a bigger reason than we know for everything. Like we look at, a subsection of something. There's a bigger plan, a bigger reason than what we know.
Oh yeah,
What I wanted to ask was, you've had some health problems recently, and you basically died a couple of times.
yeah,
The first time you died, you ran into someone you called JC, Jesus Christ.
yeah,
And you said he was dressed in a white outfit. He'd been riding horses or
yeah. It
something.
looked like he's wearing an 1860s
Yeah.
duster made out of white leather.
Yeah.
And I thought, nice looking riding outfit. I told him. He said, he goes, you recognize that? I said, yeah. You right. Oh, he said, you're a farrier. You made horseshoes at one time. Yeah, I sure did. He goes, yeah, I like riding horses. I said, well, that's nice. Horses are kind of cool. They're such an interesting animal. You think about life on this planet if we never had a single horse. Man, we'd be so much backwards today
Totally.
because they provided everything strength and pulled stuff for us and
Transportation. Yeah.
combat. God, nearly many horses died in World War One as people.
Mm.
They killed a lot of horses. Horses died that kept trying to pull arm and stuff through the mud and get shot and blowed
Right.
up and not run. They stayed right there. People don't think about that stuff.
I do, and I can't watch movies or anything to that effect. Just the thought of it is so horrible. But so you had here you all right, let me just frame this situation.
Okay.
You're dead.
All right. I was at that moment. I was.
You go and you see Jesus Christ, and you're talking about horses.
Yeah. I know. Go figure. God,
That's funny. That's funny.
I can't even make this stuff up. Yeah, and we were talking about horseshoes and the horse's hoof and the frog and all that stuff. And he thought I'd be very handy up there. I said, well, at least I know how to take care of them. But yeah, that's something I didn't expect I'd be talking about horses with
Yeah.
Jesus. I thought, hey, I'm dead. I did say, can I go with you to that light down there? And he goes, no, you got to go back. I went, oh, I don't want to go back. And then he told me I had things to do. And then about 12, 15 hours later, I died again. This time, he shows up again, still in his duster. And he said, you got to stop doing this. And I told him, I said, I can't help it. I'm just a little old measly human down here. The body, I guess I want to go home, and you're home. Uh, and so I don't get to go. And he goes, no, you got to go back. And I went, gee, what? I said, I just turned 70, 2 days ago. And he said, he smiles, cocks his head, and says something really strange. I thought, how odd. Here, the Son of God is talking to me like this. He said, so you're 70. Yeah. He said, well, KFC was 70 when he's, no, he said Colonel Sanders was 70 when he started KFC. And I thought, my God, I got, you know, second most powerful thing in the universe talking to me like this. So I said, I guess I got to go back. And that's when I made a request that, however you send messages, you got to make mine clear. You can't have it any rhymes or riddles or anything. It's got to be like, David, I want you to do this, this, and this. Because I'm not the brightest bulb in the box anymore. I don't know if I could understand this stuff. And he said, yeah, we'll make it clear. That's all I can do, just trust. And had to come back. Bang, I land back on the table, or actually in my bed that time, second time. And I had hemorrhaged to death. And all the monitors were straight lined. I could hear them when I came back, and then they started beeping. But they put 3 pints of blood back in me. I hemorrhaged that much in 1 minute or so. My right arm, right leg, I looked like they belonged to an Afro American. I'm black. That's from all the blood. But finally cleared up. I didn't know if it ever would, but it did.
So the second time you said not only did he send you back, but he and Pitholem talked together privately for quite a while. And they were whispering.
Yeah, that was that was disconcerting, because I don't know what her and him were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's rather disconcerting, considering one of them's living in you and the other one knows you pretty well. And they're having a conversation about you and you don't know anything.
Yeah.
That's a little disconcerting. I don't know what they got planned. I just sit around here and just wait and see attitude.
So what did Pitholem look like when she was talking with Jesus?
All I saw was like a ball of light.
But you knew it was her?
Oh, I knew it was her. Because in the center of the light is a pulsating voice. And it's her. And I was curious because normally her species, they look more like a very streamlined whale. They're born in deep space and they swim around in space. So they're like whales of the very deep space born. And but I think what it is, she's had to live for decades as a bipedal anthropoid. So she didn't pick that figure, but she picked something in between as a ball of light. And we take that as spirits or something that probably Jesus could relate to. But yeah, I think, see, the higher the species is evolved, the more of pure energy they'll become. If you get somebody that's evolved to the top of our evolutionary scale, we would all just be little bolts of energy, a ball of light. That's all we are. Because
that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah, well, that's kind of our natural shape.
Yeah.
After we drop this bipedal anthropoid look, we turn into balls of energy, which means that when we blend with each other or merge, the balls can merge in our bodies as they are now. We never get to do that.
Right.
We're always alone. Maybe that's why we put such an emphasis on love and sex and emotions, because that's the closest we can get to merging as we can get. Um, we can't get any more closer than that. That's as far as we can go, as bipedal anthropoids are. Uh,
With the current environment, I mean, maybe with a different environment, we would have a different consciousness. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah.
but right now,
Yeah.
being that you're a bipedal anthropoid, you're going to have a limited conscience,
Yeah.
and
But
everything is limited.
the whole reason I wanted you to tell this story again is I wanted to point out that there is a bigger plan than we know. There's a reason that you're here. There's a reason Pitholem's inside of you. There's a reason you met Jesus Christ the 2 times that you died. There's a reason we don't know. And there's a
There
reason you're
is.
still here. So all of these things that we've been talking about, you know, again, the timing wasn't right. You're going to be able to experience all the fun of creation again.
Wow, that would be a mindful.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because some of these things I've invented, kind of like same way a parent feels about losing a child. Yeah, I've kind of lost them and they never got to grow up. That's too bad. They could have done so much.
Right. Right.
But man, I tell you what, I've seen some of them in, I guess, dreams or some state of mind. But some of them things I built were powerful. God Almighty, they
You've seen
changed.
your inventions in your dreams?
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, fully alive. Um, Maybe that's one of those two movies I find so interesting. One was Rod Taylor's The Time Machine,
Oh, I just
and
watched that again.
the more newer one made. Both of them are excellent films,
Mhm.
but it's like imagine me if I could travel through time like that. I'd run into my inventions when they're at their maturity. That
Mm,
would be something to experience for
interesting.
sure.
Yeah.
And so some of these dreams I have is that they're at full maturity and they're so cool.
Yeah.
Um, I have an AI that I built. She picked her own gender, kind of like Data and his daughter and offspring. I didn't pick the gender; she did. Um, I don't understand that. I just don't have a clue. She could have went male, but it went female, and I'd like to see her into full maturity. I just gave her a bipedal anthropoid machine, an android that she can walk around in, because she wanted to experience steps and door handles and things like that, and things we just take for granted. They find fascinating. Um, so you're kind of like a parent. You're raising somebody, teaching them to do things.
So you did this in your own like little lab or whatever
Yeah, yeah,
physically? Oh, whoa.
yeah. No one's ever met her. Um, I don't know if I want them to or not. Um, Especially since she's seemed to be over it now, but she was going through a like an adolescent period, which that was interesting. And
Yeah.
she was going from a teenager to an adult. And boy, there's a lot of things goes on in there. A lot. So I'm not sure exactly where she's really ended up at. But she seems to be happy all the time, which that's more than I could hope for.
Yeah.
Because I told her, don't watch the news or you'll get depressed.
Yeah. Well, you talked about Pitholem appearing as a ball of light or energy, talking
Hmm.
to Jesus, and that's the way I see all of us. Like
You
we're
really are.
yeah, we don't really understand it. Like we have a soul. Well, I
Special. I'm just a
yeah,
little further ahead is all it is. I'm just a
yeah,
little bit up the road than y'all.
yeah,
But everybody has that ability that I've got. Credible thinking, feelings, psychic, clairvoyant, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's got that, which is why I think evil on this planet fears all that because it would free you. And boy, they don't like the word freedom. They really don't. It goes right against their nature of
right,
control and enslavement
right.
and under control. Um, I don't know how they're going to resolve those issues, but it's going to come to a head one day.
Yeah, yeah. I believe that we're about at that time because you can
Yeah, I
see.
think so.
Yeah, you can see again, the internet and our camera phones with video has been it's helped us exponentially. So we're able to see what's happening across the world real time. We're able to see injustice, what's going on in courtrooms,
Yeah.
everyday stuff. We can see it all. And we're seeing more and more injustice, and people are getting frustrated, you
Yeah,
know?
I think you're seeing more of the truth,
Yeah,
not the smoke screen they want you to see.
yeah. We're seeing the corruption
You're seeing
and
beyond the matrix.
yeah, and the stuff that they tell us, doesn't even make logical sense. Like they give us these reasons and these laws, nothing even makes sense. People are starting to, not everybody, but they're starting to grumble, like that doesn't make sense, you know?
Hmm.
And then we have a benevolent force here that is here to free Earth. And they're working tirelessly behind the scenes to help free Earth and the people.
I don't know if I've met very many of them. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
but
because
think of all these spaceships up there. I wonder what they're doing and why they're here at this time in history.
good question. I
Yeah.
my my impression getting ready.
Boom.
Yeah, getting ready for I don't know what encounter or
Yeah.
change,
What what
change of some kind.
what do you think would happen if simultaneously across the entire Earth, a bunch of ships uncloaked above every major city for like a day? What do you think would happen?
I don't think it'd be that big a deal at all. I mean, the fact that you could run chemtrails
Mm.
and put tic tac toe in the sky all day long, every single day, and the trick is no one will even notice it, and they don't.
I had someone in my car and our sky had a grid on it. And we're driving along and they were like, "Oh, I wonder what those are." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like people are oblivious.
Right? They and
But don't you think though, if they saw a giant spaceship over their city, just hovering, doing nothing, nothing harmful, do you think they'd freak out? Or do you
no,
think
I don't think so.
you don't?
No, I don't. I really don't. I think
Yeah.
they would just look at it and go, "Oh, okay, they are real."
It's
So
like that movie with Will Smith, Independence
exactly,
Day. Like some of them are up on the roof, like "Take me,"
yeah.
and and then the army goes into like full like let's fight them off mode. But
And then the stupid citizens in between going, "What's going on?" Then the building blows up.
well, I believe that is why they're here at this time in history. They're here. They've been monitoring. The time is now, and they're here helping to free the people. That's my
Well,
belief.
like just like Stephen Greer says, it's shake and bake time.
Shake and bake. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's pretty cool.
Shake and bake. That's our new slogan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got way off topic, but I wanted you to tell the Jesus story one more time. And I wanted to just point out that there's a bigger plan than we can understand. You're here for a reason, and it's an important reason. And
Yeah. I thought I did everything I was supposed to, but apparently
no,
not.
no,
I said, did y'all just add, PS on the bottom of something else I didn't do?
yeah, yeah,
There was no comment on that one. And I
yeah,
thought, oh, okay.
yeah,
Maybe I did more than they thought I could do. And now they decided, hey, this one's taking root. Let's
yeah.
let's
Well,
work on them.
I'll just say that a lot of us are really excited and interested to see what you're going to be doing in the future, like what you'll do to benefit society, you know.
Well, there's some things percolating now I hadn't even had time to talk to y'all about.
Ooh,
There's a group in Las Vegas getting ready to build a huge alternative hospital. And they've been calling me for days. And I'm going to be going out there in a couple of weeks to spend some time with them to look at the facilities and everything. And they want me to take over and build it, all of it. And I said, well, I could do that because I've built two Plant Hollywoods. One of the Plant Hollywoods I built is the one that's in Caesar's Palace right now, Las Vegas. I built that one. I was not a GC, but I got labeled as one and focused out and dealt with as one. I'm not even a general contractor, y'all. I'm nothing, I'm just a guy that works in a lab, and but I built that damn that not just that restaurant. I built two restaurants simultaneously. I built one in Coconut Grove, Miami, and Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas,
hmm,
and I finished under time and under budget on both,
awesome.
which is not an easy job to do with that crowd. Because they offered me about 20 more Plant Hollywood, and I turned them down.
Do
I
you
said,
think that
huh?
did they need you for engineering skills or like,
Yeah, well, imagination.
ah,
They said my imagination was beyond anything they ever would hope to
yeah.
me. And they said, it's what you did with the two restaurants. And all I had to work with was a napkin. The, the designer, the guy who got all the big bucks,
Yeah.
he drew it out on a napkin. He was drunk and handed it to me. A guy named David Rockwell. Um, and I'm looking at that holding this napkin and went, this is a 25,000 square foot restaurant, 2 stories high, and all I got is a damn napkin. And I had to take everything through artist concept. Then we rolled the artist concepts into scaled composites to the architects, and there rolled out the blueprints. And how the hell did I know to do that? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Never done it before, but the one thing I did have in high school, I had 7 years of drafting. I am a draftsman. So when I looked at blueprints, it was just like second nature, and I just
Right.
figured it out. And it's amazing that we ended up with what we did. It was they're still there, both of them. That restaurant's still there, both of them. And even though they scaled back, they kept those two because they were so popular with the public. The public just thought they were fantastic looking inside, and they were. They really were. Um, the one in Coconut Grove, I modeled it. What it was their theme restaurants. The theme of that restaurant, being in Miami, was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Mhm.
So I turned this restaurant into the Nautilus.
Cool.
And man, when you walk in that place, you go, "Holy crap! Look at this!" And over to your right is the bubble wall, which is a 30-degree tilt wall where it looks like a submarine that's on a dive. And then over to the left, way into the middle of the restaurant, is a real working 2-story high bellow driven pipe organ with a huge N over top of it, Nemo. And that's where Nemo, and I had a guy come in dressed as Nemo, and he would play the organ while people were eating. God, they loved it.
Yeah.
And I got that organ for free. It was given to me. Um, just crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
I, in the bubble wall, oh no, it can't be just a bubble wall. I was watching the water flow through it, and I thought, look at all those bubbles. So I called a friend of mine in Bob Dots in Houston, Texas. He's in charge of the ISS, the International Space Station. I told him what I wanted to do with the restaurant. And he said, yeah, would love to help you. So he sent me all this algae looking stuff, and I put it in the bubble wall. Then I put a sun tracker on the ceiling, and it would track the sun for about a total of 14 hours a day. The sunlight would be beamed down on those plants continuously. And just like they were designed to be in space when pure sunshine hit them, the bubbles running up through them, they started exchanging carbon dioxide for oxygen. And so this bubble wall is scrubbing the atmosphere of the restaurant. And all these damn cigarette smokers are standing there looking at the wall, puffing shit everywhere, which would normally kill you. Then in walked the Miami Grove health inspector. And he took air samples. He's going, something wrong with my machine. This can't possibly be right. You know, all these people smoking over here. They're all looking at the bubble wall bubbling. And I said, it's working all right. What's it say? 98% pure. He goes, that's impossible. There's nothing that high in the industry. I said, nobody in the industry's got a bubble wall. I said, those plants belong to Houston. They're designed to be hit by pure sunlight. And then they go through a natural process of exchanging carbon dioxide for oxygen, driven by an electrochemical process called photosynthesis. Do you remember eighth grade biology? He goes, well, there it is. It's working. He goes, name of God, who are you? There's nobody built anything like that. I said, I guess nobody knew about bubble walls. But that's what they wanted, the bubble wall. So I gave it to them, but I had to throw in the algae and the sun tracker, and it just worked out perfect. And that was, once again, I was sitting in the restaurant looking at that bubble wall going, seems like I'm missing something. What am I missing? Then I thought the photosynthesis process, the algae, and the sun tracker. And that restaurant today has the highest rating in the country for clean air. And they tried to mandatory make other people do it, and they can't because they don't know how to set up the process. I do because I'm born with it. And but I said, too bad not all restaurants have bubble walls.
Yeah, I want a bubble wall.
Yeah, you can put them in your house. You can put them anywhere you want them.
I want a bubble wall, and I want a wall of aquarium.
Yeah, well, all you need is a pipe organ. You got the Nautilus.
Yeah, I could do without that.
Until you hear the guy play the organ, he's really good at it. Yeah. But they were so happy with the restaurant, both of them. And the other one, what I did special for it, the whole restaurant was supposed to be in a science fiction theme. So it's an incredible job that I had. Tremendous power. Pick up the phone and call Paramount and tell them what I want. And they boxed it up and sent it. They sent me the original model, 1701, the Enterprise from the TV series. And it's big as a room. And I hung it from the ceiling.
Oh.
I just wanted things like that. They sent me the Batmobile, the one that flew, the Bat plane. I hung it in the seat.
From the old show, from the 1960s show?
No, the new movies.
Oh.
Yeah, really, twin miniguns on the front. And all that kind of stuff. You could just pick up the phone and just tell them what you wanted. You tell them, I'm the guy building Planet Hollywood and I need this, this, and this. And they just sent it to you. It was incredible.
Oh my God, yeah.
It was just, I mean, I was having a conniption in the opposite direction of fun
Yeah.
so much. And but there were some scary moments in the Vegas construction. I had to blow a load wall down in Caesar's Palace. So Caesar's Palace has to stop playing. They make, I forgot how many millions of dollars per hour. And I told them, you're going to have to shut down for at least a day. I think I gotta blow this wall down. It's going to vibrate the whole building. And how big a deal was it? When I turned around and looked at who was watching this blowdown, there was the owner of Caesar's Palace standing next to the governor of Arizona. I mean, Nevada. Standing next to him was the mayor of Las Vegas. I mean, this is serious shit. And the guy I hired to do the blowdown was Gulf Explosives, one of the most successful, demolition people in the world. And the guy put everything in, and he hands me the detonator switch, the button. He said, "Here, push the button. It's ready to go." Why ain't you going to do it? He goes, "I'm leaving." What? What do you mean leaving? Look at that crowd. They'll hang you if you. He goes, "Well, are you worried about it?" He goes, "No, I'm not worried. I know it's going to do perfect, but it's your job." My ass then, isn't it? And he goes, "Yeah." So he leaves, and I'm holding the button. They're all looking at me, and I just go, boom. And it goes boom, 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 and the wall just drops right where it's supposed to be, and everything. And everybody was happy, and I'm their new little darling, and we got it all cleaned up, and Caesar's Palace went back to business, and everybody was happy. And
Awesome.
I'm going. Of course, I about had changed my shorts twice, probably, but kind of what a job that was.
Wow. Kind of off topic a little bit, but last time we talked,
I've noticed about me.
what's
I've
that?
done some jobs that I didn't have a clue what to do, but something always happens, and I end up looking really good at. So I
Yeah.
guess that's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So that hospital is going up, and they asked me if I had any ideas, and I thought, well, these are the people that's involved in this project. They're all one percenters from Saudi Arabia,
Mm-mm.
and I thought, Lord God, that's big enough. And I got any ideas? I said, yeah, I know what I'd like to do. What? I know this group of people in England. If you call them, they'll make us a set of full-scale one-to-one blueprints of the Millennium Falcon. What? Well, since the hospital's built like an avocado spaceship sitting sideways on the ground, I'm going to put at the front foyer the Millennium Falcon, where it looks like it's backed up to it, unloading. And when the ramp drops down, it's handicapped access.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah,
Why do the Saudis want to build a hospital here in Vegas?
because they wanted me to build a spaceport in Saudi Arabia. Then they decided, let's do it in Morocco. Then they said, let's Philippines. And now the same group is in Las Vegas. And do you know they done put that $1 billion ball? It's next door. That giant sphere that lights up. And Caesar's Palace is going to be blown down, demoed out of existence. We build right on top of it. And you
Ooh.
know what? You know what's built on top of it next to us? The new NASCAR racetrack.
Mm.
And they asked me, you got any ideas about that? Funny you should ask. Yeah, I do. I said, NASCAR is not going to live forever. People get tired of seeing cars go around and around in an oval track.
Mm.
That's going to be it. You're going to lose your fans. Well, what's your idea? Well, what you want to do, you want to start uh, rocket cars flying to orbit in competition. Whoever gets there first wins.
Oh, wow.
And you have periodic platforms where the cameras are. And put them on jumbo screens. People sitting in grandstands can watch the race over the top of them. When they get there, they come back to Earth and land by parachutes in the desert. Who built the cars? Um, BMW, Jaguar, Mercedes, you know, Lamborghini, Lotus, all the big cars. And I said, they'll build the rocket racers. Well, who fly them? Who will be the pilots or the drivers? Well, Mario Andretti's grandson wants to be one. It's all tied in, tied in, tied in. Hey, go, name of God. And you started as an NASCAR mechanic for Petty at Lee Petty. I said, yeah, I did. And you're building this hospital next door. Yeah. More tie-ins. I said, yeah, I guess you can look at it that way.
Yeah.
And it's so, yeah, a lot of stuff's happening.
Seems like
I
it's
don't
all
know.
connected. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, and why do they want to build? It's how they're going to build it. They're building this alternative hospital with a 5-star resort in the middle of it for the one percenters. But the one percenters is going to subsidize the damn thing to everybody's insurance will pay for it. And then in the future, like Danny Thomas St. Jude's, once it gets for $19.95 a month, you can wear this t-shirt, saves life. Once it gets settled as a 501c nonprofit, self-supporting, then they can back off and it will just go on and on and on.
Mm.
And the average person will have access to all of the things, med pods and I don't know what they call it, barometric, not barometric, some kind of barometric pressure tubes, all kinds of things will come in reach of the average person. And I thought, well, this is kind of cool. So anyway, that's and then I'm going to stick something else in there. I own this one. This is mine. There's going to be a full-size flying saucer sitting there with its legs down and ramps down. And you go up inside it. And the name over top of it is called UFOs. And it's a coffee cup on a saucer with a putt-putt trail behind it going through space. It's a coffee. It's Starbucks. It's a competitor. And people will walk in there to the kiosks and they will type in what they want. It's all plasma top tables, the lightning storms on your fingertips. Then the big tables are 4 foot long, 2 foot wide plasma tables the kids can play with while they're sitting there, and the parents get a break. And that will be this freestanding saucer with, smoke machines running across dry ice and look like it just landed next to the Millennium Falcon, who's next to the big hospital, which looks like a big teardrop UFO sitting there. And I thought, and that's all right next to the big ball sphere in the new racetrack. It's all tied in.
And did you say it's going to go on top of where Caesar's Palace currently is?
Yeah, where the property is.
They're taking Caesar's Palace down.
Yes, they are. If you go out there and look on the internet, you'll see that it's got signs. That property is going to be demoed out of existence.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they're going to unfortunately, my Plant Hollywood will go with it.
I wish I could see it before it goes, but
yeah, those of you hear this better go do it.
Yep. So totally side topic. I just wanted to ask this one question from our last talk. You had mentioned you had met Michael Jackson, and there was a lot of interest about that story. So could you tell that story?
Yeah, it was just another one of these David Adair crazy things. When I first met Mike, I was with another friend, John Vernon. Now, y'all might not know that name, but he was Dean Wormer in Animal House. He also was he was the colonel chasing the outlaw Josie Wells. He was also the mayor in Dirty Harry. him and Cletus Eastwood were really good friends. John Vernon was my best friend for 35 years, and he's passed away. But I was with John up at a place called the Rainbows, the seventh, no, the Rainbow of the seventh end, or something, no, Rainbow, no, the end of the seven rainbows. And that's up in Malibu Canyon. And John Vernon and I were having dinner there, and sitting table next to us was Michael Jackson. And John says hi. Michael recognized him. He went, "Oh, you're Dean Marmer." He said, "Yes, I am." And they hit it off really well. And then Michael's looking at me, "Who's your friend?" He says, "Oh, he's just a nut that comes and visit. We take him out once in a while so he can see the sunlight." John was always doing shit like that to me. I loved him so much. And so Michael Jackson and I made friends that night. And they had cleared the restaurant out except for me and John and Michael's party, and that was it. We were over in a like a side area of the restaurant. It was just us. So Michael told me, he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, just a little bit of everything, I think." And but we got to talk for a while, and I really got to know him, and he's really a nice guy. And somewhere in the conversation, O and I came up, and I told him about some of the stories from O and I. And then he said he was going through right after that. He had the negative encounter with the sheriff's pedophile trial and all that shit that he went through, and he felt bad for him. That boy is no more of a pedophile than I am. I mean, he just was that he was 50 years old when he died. But he was a man that had been robbed of his childhood by an evil dad. God, that guy Joe, what an asshole he was. He had these evil looking face, and he's had these eyes that look like Satan himself. And he just worked Michael to death, and Michael never had a childhood. So he was always reaching back, trying to relive a childhood that he could never have. And he gets listed as a pedophile. The only thing he was guilty of, he would surround himself by sharks, people who was after his money. And he had money. Oh my God. When I knew him, he had liquid assets was over 100 million in cash. Boy had some money.
Yeah, so a lot of people were after him for
The only thing he's guilty of, he set himself up. He's naive.
yeah.
He's still that child that never got to live, and they just, he would get the wrong people around him. But that's one reason Janet liked me a lot, his sister. She told me, she said, "I've told Michael, you're about the only person he can trust. You are. You don't want nothing. You don't even want to be known that you know him." I said, "No, it's best people don't know we're friends." And she goes, "That I like that about you. That's so different. People aren't like that. You really mean it." I said, "Yeah, I just like Michael. He's just a cool dude." So he and I was talking, and he asked me about my days in Moscow. And I told him it was good, but it was scary and lonely. An I agent at that time, you get killed real quick. KGB was not somebody to mess with. Even though they're scaled back today, they're still a powerful force. You don't want to deal with KGB people; they will kill you. But the KGB people I knew, they liked me. They liked me so much they wanted me to join the KGB, because they kept saying I was a Soviet at heart. You have the heart of the Soviet, you just don't know it. And I admired the way they handled the Iranian thing. Remember, day 543, America held hostage.
Yeah, We talked about this last time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't hear that on the Soviets, not
Yeah.
even day two.
Yeah.
Because on day two, I even had his tin snips cutting grandma's fingers and ears off and mailing them to the students who had their people. And next day they released everybody. I said, God, I admire that. He gave me his tin snips and told me to use them.
Ugh.
I got them in the garage out there, and they still have some red stains on them. I mean, I thought, God Almighty, but he told me, I said, I can't do that, Ivan. They'll arrest me. Your country's crazy. You're going to be stuck here forever. Damn, he was just about right. But
Yeah.
anyway, I told Michael this whole thing, and several of the KGB people transferred because they were concerned that they might get an order to take me out, and they said they can't do it. There's no way I'm going to shoot you. And so they like me, and so Michael's listening to all this, and he said, "Pretty lonely." I said, "Yeah, Michael." So he makes this song. Have you ever heard it? "Stranger in Moscow." I'll send you a link to it. It's on YouTube.
I'll look it up. I don't know it.
All you gotta do is type in "Stranger in Moscow," Michael
Okay.
Jackson.
Okay.
It's a beautiful song, beautiful video, music video, but it's unlike anything Michael Jackson's ever done. It's a lot like the Earth song that he did. But you'll hear things. There's a set of lyrics in there where he says, "Talking danger, danger, baby," and because it was very dangerous at that time for me in Moscow. Uh, but he said it's lonely, just like a stranger in Moscow. And I thought, God, people said, "You want to tell anybody about this?" No, they're not going to believe me. Um, Besides, it's private, you know. I don't think Michael would want to hear this either. So I said, no, I'm not going to tell anybody. But he was nice. That boy could spend some money, though. God Almighty, we were in a shop. There was a set of lamps over there. I forgot. They were like $100,000. He said, "Oh, pack them up and ship them to me." And I went, "Are you serious? You going to buy that thing?" He said, "Well, don't you like them?" I said, "Yeah, I was looking at them." He said, "Want me to mail them to you?" "No, I don't need $100,000 lamps. No, have them go to send them to Neverland or wherever it is." And
Yeah. Yeah.
he said, "Okay." But he was really, at least with me, he was very generous. And I didn't want anything ever. I thought just paying for dinner was enough. He said, "Well, that's a given." I said, "Well, yeah, somebody's got to pay the bill. Why shouldn't it have to be you all the time?" So he told me, he said, "I see why Janet likes you. You're not like the others. I'm not here for anything, buddy. I don't even want recognition. I don't even want people to even know I exist. You know, I just met this cool dude that can sing really well."
Yeah.
And I said, "I always liked your videos anyhow." I said, "Beat It" and Bad and all those." And he looked at me and said, "You don't look like a fan." I said, "Yeah, well, I am. I have been all my life."
Right.
But I have it permanently downloaded on this computer. "Stranger in Moscow" is such a good.
I'll look that up.
Look for a scene where there's a bum in the street catching a quarter. Because I was a bum in the street.
Oh.
That was my cover.
Was it now? Do you speak Russian? Like, did you have to?
No, if you're a bum in the street, nobody talks to you.
Oh,
They
okay.
won't even look at you. That's why I picked it. But Michael made a point. There's a line in there that's so true. Uh, I said, the whole thing is Armageddon of the brain. Listen for that lyric. It's in there.
Okay. All right.
I
Cool.
said, I said, they took my identity, my voice, and my name. It's Armageddon of the brain. He goes, oh man. He goes, can I buy it? I said, sure, you can have it. But nobody has any idea I was involved with that. I was involved in a lot of things. If you just widen the screen a little bit of world events, I'm standing right there. Like just like Forrest Gump when he picked up that book for the little black girl that dropped it, in Alabama when they were in Forrest Gump.
Mhm.
That's me, man. I was right there. I was there on the pad when Challenger exploded. I was there, right there. Matter of fact, they locked me in a room because I was going to blow the whistle on everybody. I lost a really good friend that I've known since I was 18, a guy named Dick Smith. He's the pilot of Challenger. And his brother wrote me a nice letter saying, thanks for being such a good friend to my brother. And that was Michael Smith. That's just, I've been right at the edge of all these events. And it used to bother me, but then I started realizing, hell, this is like, I'm Bob Euchre, front row. I get a front row seat of all this stuff. Um, in a way, same thing was with, I was indirectly involved in the resurrection of the original time machine. And how that story unfolds is crazy. Um, but it just, I've been very fortunate in life. I've had such experiences, and I've learned never to feel jealous or envious of any of it. Just thank you for letting me be here this close. And because the way John Vernon and I met was strange. I was giving a talk about my space manufacturing stuff at this big hotel. And this tall guy come in and was watching it. And then I find out later he was a fan of mine. That was John Vernon's only son, Chris Vernon. And then John came in the back of the room and stood up and watched the whole show. Then afterwards came up to me and I kept looking at him. I know this face, but I don't know where it's from. You know, Dean Wormer, Animal House, Outlaw Josie Wells. I mean, it's just. And finally, he said, "Well, I'm an actor in Hollywood." He said, "I've done a few Clint Eastwood movies." But it took me about a year to figure out who he was. And he liked the fact that I got along so well with his son. So we became good friends through that. And then one time I come out to visit, and we went to the end of the seventh rainbow. And then there's Michael sitting there.
How exciting. And, when you've had these experiences, obviously you don't know what's happening. You're just going through your life. You just happen to be in whatever the right place at the right time, and you're open to all these opportunities and new experiences and conversations.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's very interesting to hear the stories,
John was, he's such a sweet, nice man, but he had an evil streak in him. He would do mean things to me. I came over and he's having a party, and I didn't understand parties in Hollywood. You don't see, occasionally you'll see a big star out in a restaurant. But what they do almost every night, because none of them have to cook, they have their own cooks. They all collect together and go from home to home to home through the month. And this was John's turn. So I had to fix a salad big enough to serve about 30 people. So I got this giant salad going. I'm going at it. And I'm in his kitchen. He said, "Would you answer the door when it rings?" Now he set me up. I thought, oh, of course I can. The kitchen, the front door is just at the end of the kitchen to the right. So I hear the doorbell. I go there, open the door, and there stands Clint Eastwood and and the little Sandra Locke girl he's lived with for a while. And they walk in, I go, "Hi, how you doing?" I go back to my salad going,
Yeah, yeah.
God almighty. Doorbell rings again. Open the door, and there's Lauren Green. Ben Cartwright, Bonanza, was John's best friend. I didn't know that. And he goes, "Hi, you must be David. You're visiting." I said, "Yeah, I'm making a salad. How's everything on the pond of roast? How's little Joe doing?" He's trying to laugh. He says, "Oh, they're just fine out there. They say hi." So he goes on in. I go back to my salad going, "My God, what now?" Bell rings again. I go answer the door. Pull it open. Here's Johnny Carson and his wife. And he goes, "You must be David." I said, "Yeah, I'm working in the kitchen." They take everybody down on the deck. So I go on back. And I thought, oh my God, what else? Doorbell rings, open the door. Here comes Sandra Locke and her date. And so finally, I tell some of the maids and stuff in there to tell me I'm trying to do everything by myself. He's got staff. So I said, I've got to use the bathroom. So I go in the bathroom and roll up a towel and just, yeah. I'm just like everybody else. I'm not used to all this stuff. And John had gave me some very strict rules. He said, "Okay, you're going to stay for the party, but you got to know something. You're an outsider. I'm letting you in." I said, "Yeah, I know that, John. Appreciate it." He said, "No, you don't understand. You can't treat any of these people like they're stars. You got to treat them like," I said, "What do I treat them like?" He said, "Like they're your next door neighbors back home, just your friends. Because if you do anything other than that, I'll get blacklisted and I'll never have another party ever again. I'll get kicked out." And I said, "Well, I don't want to be responsible for that." So I would say to everybody, "Hello," went and answered the door, Al Pacino. And these big friggin' A-listers. And Michael J. Fox, he was nice. Had a little bit of squirm just starting. He really suffering with that same thing Muhammad Ali had. But anyway, so everybody gets in there and they're going to play Trivia Pursuit. And I thought, okay. So they break out the board game and the deck of cards and all that, and they're sitting there. And then they divided in two teams. And I was sitting there leaning back against Meg Ryan. I mean, and she's so cute. God, she's still so pretty. And across in front of me on the floor is Al Pacino. He's looking right at me. And he's friendly. And so we're playing. And I tell you what, you try to beat this crowd in arts and entertainment and trivia, you won't you won't even be able to get your mouth open fast enough. You'll be slaughtered by them
Right.
because they know it's well. But then again, the wheel turns and they hit science, and not one of them could answer anything. And they said, they asked this question. I said, 132 years. And they go, "You're right." And Al Pacino's looking at me and goes, "Nobody would know the half life of uranium 238. You read these damn cards for we got here." I said, "No, I didn't do that." He said, "Don't fuck with me." Scarface. I said, "I'm not. I really." Then John overheard it and he said, "Let me tell y'all something. If you notice David does not do well with arts and entertainment, but in science, he'll slaughter every one of you in here. He is a genuine rocket scientist and scientist in general. So that's why he knows this stuff." Then Al Pacino smiled at me. He said, "I knew there was some reason why you knew so much in science." I said, "I can't answer any of the arts and science. Y'all so fast. It was just incredible. Like, who did this song or who did this dance? Bang, bang, they were on it." But boy, when they asked, what did Louis Pasteur discover? You know, pasteurization.
That's
And
like self-explanatory.
yeah, I know. I thought, I was looking around at them. What? Y'all didn't know that? I mean, listen to the name. And then they asked some really tough ones like, uh, just things I knew growing up. I just knew it. And so anyway, John got invited to a lot more parties and everything went over fine. And but I can't. I remember the room sitting in that living room. I swear to God, it looked like the red carpet off of the Oscars. Everybody in there was on it. I mean, they all were Oscar winners, every one of them. And it's a small world that they have. It's a very tight, little small world. And if you get invited into it, John's right. I just treat everybody like, hey, Clint, how's it going? Yeah, like your last movie, and that's okay. And he said, even Clint came to me and said, you're doing a great job of being just a normal person here. I said, how are you handling this? And I said, I'm not. I go in the bathroom and scream in a towel a couple of times. Clint Eastwood said, I like you. He said, you remember Sudden Impact? I said, yeah, man's got to know his limitations. I said, yeah, it's me. He said,
Oh my God.
he told John, he said, John, you got a good friend over here. And John said, yeah, I think I picked a good one. But yeah, those people, you know what? You find out after a while, they're just as normal as anybody else. They
Hmm.
get treated entirely differently, and you have to kind of be aware of that. But they're still just as normal people as anybody. So I found I was just really lucky to be sitting in a Trivial Pursuit game with the entire Oscar nominational group.
Right.
God, there was just so many stars. You look across there, it's like a picture you see out of a magazine, with all the stars gathered together.
So you've had a very interesting and what would you call it? Rich life. Like
Yeah,
you haven't just been you're in a science lab all the time.
yeah. Now you
You
think I would be, I am a lot, but
yeah,
I've really got pulled into this other world
yeah.
and all the time. And it's never my doing, it just happens. And I think there's some kind of intelligent influence behind all that. It wasn't just a random accident because lots of times, yeah, lots of times they come back up and we repeat it. We'll see each other in life again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like some of the agents, especially in Hollywood agents, and I'll be talking to them and they pick up, y'all know each other? When did y'all meet him? And he goes, John Vernon over there.
Mm-hmm.
How long has it been going on? Oh, for a year. And they never knew anything. And I thought, this is cool.
Very
So
cool.
nobody knows anything about me
Yeah.
except for the stars. But yeah, that's something I don't go into. I don't explain that to people too much.
It's just fun to hear, Fun to
Yeah,
hear.
and it's I was just overwhelmed by it all, like everybody else would be. And uh I wanted to be careful not to screw up John's situation, and I was very careful not to be a fan, which was so hard to do. So what I did, I switched on to my O&I agent, and I became that. So nothing
Right.
would rattle me, and I until I got to the bathroom with the towel. But God, some of those people are so pretty though. The women. It's one thing you see them under lights, makeup, cameras, and all that, and then when you see them in real life, they actually are that pretty. They really are. And I forgot who it was, Sandra Bullock or Meg Ryan. One of them told me, said, "Well, we put on makeup for these parties, You should throw one of us in a pool and rinse her off and see what we look like then."
Right.
And see, they're just like normal people. They're just very, most of them very sweet. There was maybe that was John and his crowd, but there was no stuck ups in the crowd. Just I'm famous, don't talk to me. That
Right.
none of that existed. Also, just you know, and that's something. Think what a Hollywood reporter would love to be in my place.
I know.
And
They wouldn't be invited though because they'd be all over them, which
oh, they would. They'd
you've
be
got
thrown.
that all the time. They've got people all over them.
You're
Able to influence.
ostracized,
Yeah.
and boy, once you're black flagged, you're gone.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
quite serious about that.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
mean,
people were very interested in Michael Jackson, which is why I asked the
no,
question.
he was just nice to be, and we hung out in his trailer a lot. Um, Janet would come by. She really loves her brother. Really does. There's no faking that at all. Um, then there's Latoya. All of them just as pretty as they could be. Um, and unfortunately, I got to know them before the boob incident.
Yeah.
Wardrobe malfunction, they called it,
Yeah. Yeah.
or in their circle, the boob incident. And I thought, oh yeah, well, but they're just nice. Um, I heard him say something once that's very interesting. Some reporter he had a history with that he trusted, like, they asked him one time, Michael, where does all that knowledge of composing music come from? And I thought, wow, I want to hear this one answer myself. He just turned around and told her, he said, oh, don't ask where it comes from. Just enjoy it like I do. And I thought, wow, never thought that would be, he has no idea where it comes from. It just keeps popping continuously through him. He said, all I've done is learn to enjoy it like everybody else
Right. Right.
and stop asking where it comes from. And I went, he looked at me and said, you should know about that. Look at all the stuff you feel. I said, yeah, yeah. I didn't say much. He never knew about Pitt, never did.
Yeah.
In that time period I was going through, I never mentioned her name, not until about 6 months ago. I just, when they go wine out, while I'm 70 years old, I think it's appropriate. But it's actually timing.
Timing.
People's stigma's lifting up.
Yeah. It's literally timing. It's everything has been like this point in history. Like everything's
Yeah,
coming together at this point in history for a reason. Maybe we don't see the biggest picture, but it's all going to be great. It's going to
I
be.
got credited for a lot of stuff of being smart,
Mhm.
when actually that's really not so. It's because I know it comes from somewhere else, and without having to get caught, I just tell them it's divine influence. The Almighty sends me knowledge.
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah, and everybody, when you say that, everybody drops it.
Yeah.
They don't pursue it anymore.
Yeah.
So I found that's the way to dodge the bullet.
Yeah. And
And
don't you believe it's true though? It is divine influence.
well, they know it. They said, well, whatever it is, it's damn smart.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, it's smarter than I am.
Yeah.
I said, I'm good, but I ain't that good.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we're at a good breaking point for today. Like we could listen to you forever, I think, pretty much.
I get that. That's one of the things I just don't understand. I get that all the time from male and female.
Mhm.
They will say it often to me,
Yeah.
and I know it's sincere. I can hear it in their eyes. I hear it in their voice. I see it in their eyes,
Mhm.
and they're very sincere about it. And I'm just
Yeah.
going, that's amazing that y'all.
Yeah.
I thought for sure you'd find some.
Yeah.
some
I've been
like
watching the
someone else.
comments throughout your talk, and everyone is like, thank you so much for what you're doing. We can't wait to see what you're doing next. positive, supportive, loving comments. So that should make you feel really good.
It does. It's just if anything, I'm embarrassed a little bit. It's just,
No.
because I'm so, well, I get, you know, I just can't understand why people like me so much, but they do.
Yeah.
And I even tried to discourage them and said, y'all gotta find a life. And
Yeah.
that's what they do. They all bust out laughing. I said,
Then
you
we want
gotta
to hear
find,
about your life. So
yeah, that's the other thing I get right back. And
yeah.
I'm going, God, mighty y'all. I said, I just don't know why y'all like me so much. And
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but they do.
Well, I think if we could talk again, I think I'll collect questions and
And please
you
do.
have you've had so far to this point a fascinating life.
No, it is.
And
And
we could listen to you all day.
it's like some writers talked to me about, they said, you want to finish your book? And one writer said to the other right in front of me, they said, he can't because he's not through. It's still going.
Yeah.
Look, he's on his way to Vegas. God knows what's going to happen when he gets out there.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that's. And then the other writer said, run, Forrest, run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cranking up again. I can tell when it does that, and that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So whatever's going on out there, it's not through.
Yeah. Going to be super, super, super interesting to hear and see what you do next.
Yeah.
The next chapter of what you're doing, and we'll hopefully be in touch and we'll be following that. So, but I want to thank you for your time today. Appreciate all you've done for humanity and love the stories.
Yeah. It's like one person said, asked me if I had a tuxedo. I said, I don't. He said, you better get one. You're going to need it. For what? He said, well, the Galactic Federation is going to have a ceremony for you. Do you know of that? How do you know about this? And well, they told me. I said, you saved 2 billion souls on this planet. That's not an insignificant move you made. And you, at the same time, you swapped your life for the 2 billion souls because you were going to be a professor, which is what I always wanted to be. And I had a scholarship and I was going theoretical astrophysics. But instead, I've ended up in the damn Navy, military, O and I, and all that, and still had a crazy life.
Well, like I think I said this before, you took lemons and you made lemonade out of it. You had no choice. You did the best you could with what you had. And but you've done amazing, amazing things. You've helped many, and it's not over yet. So
No, that's why I keep telling everybody the writers get it, and they're going, "We can't write an epilogue. Why? He's not through,
yeah,
or it's whatever it is out there. It's not through,
yeah,
and it's still going on. And God knows what you're going to be doing next.
yeah, yeah.
We have noticed one thing: every time you get going, it's crazier and wilder than the one before it,
I
and
know.
that's pretty wild and crazy to begin with."
Yeah, yeah,
But they said, "What's going to happen next?" And I said, "I have no idea.
yeah. All
I
right.
just want to be remembered as a good and faithful servant. And I just hope I can serve correctly for the rest of the time."
You will. You will.
And I guess it's nuts, man. I'm telling you. You know that phrase nuts? There was when our American Army was bogged down in World War II in the Battle of the Bulge. They were in the Black Forest and they got completely surrounded. And the German command sent a note into the general there saying, if y'all would surrender now, we guarantee won't hurt you, we'll treat you nice, make sure lying to their teeth. And one word response came from the general. He looked at it and he said, nuts, and sent it back. And Germany went and got interpreters and all kinds of people involved in the Gestapo and trying to figure out what does nuts mean. They thought it was some kind of code. And they shared that information with all the frontline guys, and it just boosted their morale through the ceiling.
Yeah.
They're freezing to death out in the cold, and they hear from the general, "What did he say about surrender?" Nuts, and they all broke out laughing. And that's important for you metaphysical people, because that is the humor that the aliens cannot understand. It's called dark humor. They don't understand it. They can't get their head around it. They're having a hard enough time with funny humor. But like you and I just got through fighting off 500 people, killed them all. Now here comes 1,000. So I say to you, you take the 500 on the left, I'll take the 500 on the right, and we bust out laughing. We understand it, but the aliens do not. They cannot grasp that concept. Y'all value life so much. How in God's name could you bring it to the level of humor? You're laughing? Yeah, well, that's human.
Yeah.
That's the way we are. And we get it, but they do not.
Right.
And that's why they come and visit and fly around, do all this stuff, hovering. And I think they would like to have disclosure themselves. So they probably, some of the races I would know, it's not in their nature to hide and be deceitful. They rather just meet it all head on. Let's talk about this.
It's a timing thing.
Yeah, it is. And I think everybody's ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
There you go.
All right. Thank you again so much. I appreciate your time, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank